Let's solve circles intersect. Here we're given 6 values, x1, y1, and r1, which represent a circle centered at x1, y1 with radius r1, and x2, y2, r2, another circle centered at x2, y2, radius r2. And we want to return true if these intersect and false if they do not. Now, with a little bit of thought, we can realize no matter where these circles are located, if the distance between them is larger than the sum of the two radiuses, then they can't possibly intersect. Whereas if the distance between x1, y1 and x2, y2 is no greater than the sum of the two radiuses, then they have to intersect. So really that's what it comes down to. Find the distance between the points and compare it to r1 and r2. Excellent. Well, we also happen to have just written the distance function ourselves, so let's actually use that. If you recall, we wrote distance and it was the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Great. Okay. Now to see if circles intersect, we could say that the distance between the centers is the distance from x1, y1 to x2, y2. This is a very good practice of calling a helper function to do some of the heavy lifting here. And what we want to do is we want to say if that distance is less than the sum of the radii, then we want to return true, else we want to return false. And we go ahead and run this, and we see that it failed. And it failed because from 0, 0 to 4, 0, 2, well, a circle centered at 0, 0 with radius 2, and a circle centered at 4, 0 radius 2, they're going to actually intersect exactly at one point, at 2, 0. And the reason we messed this up was we meant to do that, less than or equal. Because when they're equal, they'll touch in one point, and in fact, that worked. Now this is not great style. Let's make the style a little bit better. For starters, it's the distance between centers. That's a much better name. You might think that's a lot of typing, but D tells you nothing about that. Distance between centers is extremely descriptive. Okay? So now I run this, and of course it still works. And then, if you look at this expression here, you see if this is true, we return true. And if this is false, we return false. Well, gosh, why don't we just return this itself? Because that's what we're doing. Let me show you what I mean. I'll go here. I'll just say return that. Now this line right here is equivalent to these 4 lines. Actually, I prefer, it's not required, but I prefer parentheses around that. So this line here is just going to return true when this is true and false when it's false. Wonderful. So let's get rid of these 4 lines. And now I can go ahead and do that, and it works. Now, I could actually simply not use that local variable and even do this. And I run that, and it still works. I could accept this result, but to tell you the truth, I believe this one is superior. Even though we stored in a variable only to use it one time in the next line, this provides self-documenting code. The code is making it abundantly clear what that distance is by storing it in a well-named variable. In any case, we have solved the circles intersect problem.